Hi, folks. My name is Sam Smiley. I'm an administrative assistant at the Jefferson. I'm here to kick off tonight's events, but I have a couple things to do before we get started. First of all, some housekeeping. If you need assistance during the event, please ask me or Luke. We'll be happy to help you. There is a Q&A portion. Just make sure to raise your hand and keep your questions short and concise. Questions, not stories. We have some upcoming events. We have our spring brochure out, which is on the table. But our spring kickoff event is a panel discussion of what's happening in Washington, D.C., a look at the first 100 days of Trump's presidency. And lastly, I would like to introduce our presenter, Dr. Parris Baker. He is an associate professor and director of social work, mortuary science, and gerontology programs at Gannon University.
Mouthful.
Please give Dr. Baker a warm JES welcome.
Well, we're going to have to use everyone. I had a sneaking suspicion that it might play out this way. I have a workshop prepared, so I have a presentation that's more academic, but the greater learning happens in the workshop. So I elected to do the workshop. So we're going to go through the presentation pretty quickly. And by the way, this is storytelling. So you can ask questions, you can tell a little story. I will cut you off, don't worry about it. But part of how this thing works is sharing stories, because men don't typically talk to each other. And I do believe in narratives. Tell it how it happened and how you feel. We get more information that way. So let's see. Is it good? Here we go. So real quickly, I've been working in the fatherhood industry, or my research interests have been in fathering for actually even before I thought or I knew that one could study academically fathering, and my PhD is the focus was fathers and families, and where did that come from? Like most individuals who study fathering behavior, father identity, any of this fathering stuff, it's because there was a personal relationship, good or bad, with their biological father. It's interesting to report that most of the researchers in the fathering domain are female, far and away. And I'm not sure what explains that. In the 90s, those who study fathering, we said the decade of the 90s was about fathering. And somewhere along the way, we figured out, we being the Office of Child Support Enforcement figured out how to get men to pay, take their licenses away and put them in jail and that kind of thing. And then precipitously, it's almost as if fathers were no longer important again. If you go before 1970, the Office of Child Support Enforcement started in 74, 75. You would be hard pressed to find any literature, any research specific to fathering behaviors, fathering identity. At best, it was kind of snuck in with marital satisfaction or something along those lines, but very little specific work on what does it mean to be a father, what are the expectations of fathers, and so on and so forth. So again, back to my personal story, is I knew my father loved me. He was born in the South, came to the North when his father moved. And so there was some coding, some scripting of the role of fathers. I don't remember my father telling me he loved me, all through my childhood and adolescence. I can't remember. There's not a picture that we could find, and trust me, I went through the archives. I can't find one picture. It was just him and me in kind of like a touching, intimate setting. I looked for my brothers, and same thing. We could not find pictures. And we all said, Dad loved us. But the expression of it was, I go to work, I pay the bills, and that's how I tell you I love you. It's kind of interesting. And because of that, this is kind of a snapshot. My dad was also, again, he was taught, his father was the same way. We're incredible disciplinarians. And it was wait till your father gets home kind of deal. Except this was not Ozzie and Harriet. It was not that situation. When Dad got home, it was crazy. And I said, again, I'm trying to figure out, I know you love me, but why such harsh, almost punitive discipline? And so I was born in 1957, right after the Emmett Till murder. And when I got a little older, I guess it was, to do the math, I was 15, whatever the math is. My dad said, I heard somebody tell me you are interested in white women. And I poked my chest out and said, and what's it to you? Poof! Beat the crap out of me. And so when I got older, I said, Dad, can we revisit that? What was that about? And I mentioned the Emmett Till because he was terrified of, if you're messing with a white woman, that could get you killed. So he was trying to put fear in me to stop doing it. And unfortunately, he didn't put the fear in me at all. It made me more interested, like, oh, what's the taboo or whatever. And so I have and that's just one of a gazillion events that me and my brothers went through. And then when I started becoming more spiritual, attending church and really thinking about this idea of why Jesus said, when you pray, call him Father. I said, wow, God, if you're like omniscient and all that wonderful stuff, you decided this man was going to be my father. Why did you do that? I really struggled with that. Like, if I had to choose, it would not have been him. And so that's how I started the journey. This idea of who are you as a father, loving father. And there was so many things, like a lot of, people growing up, like, God, if you're so good, why is there war and why is there evil? And there all this philosophical stuff. I just couldn't figure it out. So I started a journey, like just figuring out what is this thing that's so important? And then I want to share something with you, and I'll move a little faster. Your father's name? Charlie. What do you call him? Dad. And see, it's right away. There's an intimacy when you pray, call him Father, because that's really the relationship. And it took me a while to understand how important that is, that you don't call him Jehovah -anything. You call him, again, in biblical terms, Abba, or Father, or Daddy, or Papi, or Papa, or what have you, more intimate kind of stuff. And for me, it was, how do I learn about fathering and teach men how to be intimate, how to let the guard down, how to relax, how to love in the way that is meaningful for children. And so here I am with a PhD and a bunch of experiences. In 1995, I had just graduated from CASE, and I was doing some work in teen violence. Again, the relationship was teens who are more violent tend to have absent fathers. And so that was a connection for me. And I was invited to the Erie School District to do a lecture. I just got my degree. Can you share your research with the men who attended a group called the Foundations of Fatherhood? And I attended that one time and said, this is for me. This is great. I don't want to be a presenter. Can I join you guys? I'll be a researcher or anything. Let me become part of that. Excuse me. And they said, yes, you can. I'm looking for my water. Oh, there it is. No, it's right here. I moved it. So I became part of the education team. I ended up doing research. with the Foundations of Fathers. That ballooned into the Father's Workshop, um, Dr. Dads. And then, again, I'm not doing this in isolation. Steve Simmelcare and Randy Turner they actually invited me. So they were the founders of the Foundations of Fatherhood. And then we got a contract to do fathering at SCI Albion, and that's where Long Distance Dads was birthed. And it was really the men teaching us. We had no idea. How do you father from prison? And you have to be in prison to understand all the barriers to prison. So we developed workshops where you teach us and we're going to record it. We came up with a curriculum, Long Distance Dads. And at one point, that curriculum was in 100 SCIs across the nation. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what side of the coin you are, Long Distance Dads became part of the National Fatherhood Initiative. It's now called 24/7. Changed the name. It was sold, unfortunately for me. I didn't know anything about copyright. So all the work that I did to contribute to that, you learn the hard way. Yes, protect your work. Again, that's a different story. I'll get sad if I tell this. I'm going to move on. So the National Fatherhood took that and changed the name. And if you go online, you can see all that material that I'm going to share. Some of that today. Actually, some of what I'm sharing, I was about to give it to them again before they actually packaged it differently. And I said, thank you, God. I'm so glad I didn't give it to you because it wouldn't be mine and I would have to pay for it. So, because the men at Albion said, and this was the birth of Abba Fathers, we need something a little deeper, like the Foundations of Fatherhood is good as the foundation, but now that we're learning, can we go deeper into fathering? And that deepening portion was how to become more spiritual fathers, blah, 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 blah. And this workshop is kind of the evidence of, how do we practice what we're teaching you? How do we make that real for you? So anyway, we'll get to that. So Abba Fathers was the program developed out of the second part of the second portion of the curriculum. And then it actually took off and I went to Georgia and worked with a father who had been in the program, moved to Georgia, and he wanted to replicate the fathering program, but we gave it a different name, I Am a Father. And real closely, if you think about it, Jesus said that a lot, I am the light, I am a lot of things. And then a father was kind of putting the two ideas together. So that's how the name developed. And so there are 3 or 4 other programs. Right now, I'm not terribly interested in like franchising this idea or anything. It's how do we develop the work right here in Erie County? So my intention is turning back to fathers, but not necessarily to like package this stuff. I still, there's so much I don't understand that I don't feel like an expert or qualified to push it beyond where I'm at. So I'm really becoming a student again. Oh, where is it? My pocket. There you are. Bam. All right. Wrong way. Okay. Here we go. Who are long distance dads? This definition is mine. There's tons of definitions for long distance dads or non-residential fathers or non-custodial fathers or what have you. The reason why I like this definition is if you read it, fathers who are physically, emotionally, and or spiritually absent or unavailable to your children is for fathers who reside with their children. They don't think they need this stuff. And my experience says absolutely need it. And it's really being physically present but emotionally absent for fathers who, are really busy working 2 jobs, or corporate dads who go to board meetings and are flying all over the world or what have you. And so this definition captures like a bigger swath, if you will, of fathers. Oops, come on. Uh-oh. There you go. Non-custodial fathers defined as men who are legally fathers, biological or otherwise, adoptive or blended families with minor children. I didn't put the incarcerated piece in there, but we're actually talking about incarcerated fathers too. And the children or the child generally resides with full-time with their mother. Every state is different, there's usually a bias, a slant. In Pennsylvania, almost a little over 70% of all child custody cases go to the mother. Okay, somewhere like 22%. We have father sole custody of children. That truly, when I first started working with fathers, that was 9% of the cases. So some of this work is really paying off. In other states, there are some states where it's like 50-50. And I'll get to that in a second. American children, higher probability than any other industrial country of children living without their father. I know, it's incredible, yeah. 1 out of 4. When I first started this work, it was 40%. It was about 80% for African Americans, about 70, 72, 75% for Hispanic. Back in 2000, 2001, 2002, the projection was if things continue in the same way they were at that particular time, the projection was that 9 out of 10 African American children will live without their biological father. That has changed, and I'm very thankful for that. But those are still high numbers. Types of arrangements. There's legal custody, shared custody, partial custody, physical custody, and visitation. This becomes important because if we look at Republican or Democratic states, the more conservative the state, the less resources are designed to engage fathers. It's more, again, kind of leading to moms, okay? And there are lots and lots of barriers. I didn't put all that information because I really want to get to why is father involvement important and how do we teach men to do that. But there's just tons of literature that suggests the more conservative the state, the more likely they're going to favor mom, and there are going to be tons of barriers that actually inhibit or prevent fathers from being involved with their kids. And by the way, I want to be clear, if there's a reason that dad should not be involved with their kids, we're not trying to do that, okay? Sometimes it is really not good for children to be with their dad. Their father's just not a healthy parent. Oh, something I'm doing or not doing, there it is. Swing states lead to more 50-50 custody. Again, the more liberal the state is, the more likely that fathers are being encouraged to be involved in our policies to support that involvement. Perceptions of father. Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious with the swing away from parties.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen an impact on that? More and more independent voters.
Recently, or just in general?
Is that even part of what you're looking at?
I'm just interested in it now. I thought that I really reading. So I'll tell you what I think. I don't know if I can support it. And what's your question again? Because I have two questions in my head.
I was curious whether there's been a change in those numbers with a number of people that are leaving a party and becoming independent. In other words, we don't want to be associated with a party. It's a political conversation, so I'm not hesitant, but it might take us to the left or to the right. But I want to say this. If you listen to the growing movement of Christian nationalism, that is helping to turn us back to what are some of the scripts, if you will, that are biblically based. And so fathers should do this and mothers should do that. And so, again, this kind of conservatism
is we're not talking about non-custodial fathers. We want you to be married and stay in a marital relationship. States that do that actually punish if you are having birth outside the marriage. We're not going to help you. We don't want to give assistance to you because we don't want to foster that kind of relationship. It's very consistent to states that are red or conservative. Okay. Now, is that changing? I don't know. And I don't know that we have enough information. Here's where I think there's a bias. You find more non-marital childbirths in fathers of color. And so I think there are some biases that go with that too. Okay. Yeah. And it's really related to income, the lower the income. Most men who are incarcerated for lack of child support payment are men of color. They usually make less than the annual salary for the poverty threshold, and so poor fathers are penalized. Okay. Again, just real quickly, there's like $101 billion. That's a crazy number that is owed in child support, but it's not poor men who owe that. Okay. The bulk of that, 50% of that number, are fathers who make over $75,000 a year. It's not poor fathers who are not paying. Okay. But the ones who are going to jail are the fathers who are making less than the poverty threshold. So again, much to be learned, but try to answer your question. Okay. And by the way, you won't throw me off. I'm watching the clock. We're still good. So if you got questions, just jump in and ask. Going too fast. So if we had a 2x2 table, so money, I have money, I don't have money, I'm involved, I don't have involvement. You come up with 4 different ways of thinking about perceptually how fathers are perceived. I'm going to talk about each one of them briefly, how they're perceived and what is the motivation of the father who are in these particular perceptions. So ATM fathers, I'm sure you can figure out an ATM father. Okay. My kids come to me when they want money. I want to be involved. They may or may not want to be involved with me. And so our relationship is transactional. Okay. Is I take care of you. But in the heart of those dads, they really want more than, they find it somewhat offensive that you come to me, this social fathering on the weekend where the younger the child, in terms of the child support arrangement, I might get the child on the weekend. So what do you do on the weekend? We want to have fun. So we do stuff, but you don't see me beyond this social arrangement. And that's how the legal guardians in the environment where the child is returning, that's how I'm referred to, is if you need something to see your dad. And in an intact family, you kind of hear the same thing, okay? But the assumption is that more is happening because we reside together. And so although it's very similar, it feels different when the child leaves the custody of the non-custodial father or parent. So that's the ATM fathers. Deadbeat dads. Who do you think these fathers are? Yes, sir. Because in my class, if you move, I ask you a question and you move, I call on you. I just look around quick. What do you think?
I assume they're not financially supportive as well as emotionally.
Okay. You said they're not financial?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's normally how most people think. It's just the opposite though. Deadbeat dads have the financial wherewithal. I kind of let that one slip out. I can pay it. I just don't. Okay. I could be involved. I just don't. Okay. There's a lot of things I can do. The stereotype is deadbeat dads are the ones who are poor and struggling and blah, blah, blah. That's the dead broke dad. Okay. That's the dad who's probably going to end up in prison or in jail. about 30% of the income of a traditional, if there's such a thing, non-custodial father is given to child support. Well, how much is given in rent? About another 30%. So those two variables alone says you're probably living on a shoestring budget. You're probably working 2 jobs. And when we get to barriers, which means even if you're paying child support, you have no excess time to spend with your job because you're just working all the time. You're just very, very busy between 2 jobs and sleeping, blah, 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 and all the other things you have to do, particularly if you're coming out of prison. You just don't have the time or time and energy to devote to fathering. And so we have some strategies to deal with that, but that's the dead broke dad. I just don't have the money, but I do have the desire. And by the way, just real quickly, dead broke dads, if you were to look at race as a variable, the way Americans think about fathering is the first variable prioritized is fathers are providers. That stays true in almost every category we can think about fathering, whether it's race or ethnicity, is you're first a provider. However, when we partialize or we tease out African-American men and we ask them, what do you think your role is? It is not economic provision. It is not the breadwinner role. It's being there, because since I may not have the financial ability to take care, and that's kind of historic too, if we were to look at history where there's discrimination, I couldn't get a job and blah, 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 blah. What's important is being there. And this is what I mean by punishing. There was punishment. 1990s, the decade of focus on dads. Under the Clinton administration, listen to this, this act, the Deadbeat Dads Act of 1998. It's a real live bill that was passed. What's the emphasis there? The Deadbeat Dads Act of 1998. What do you think the focus was? Pay or go to jail. Pay or go to jail. It's that simple. We're not helping you. It's if there were child support workers in here, they said, we're not counselors. We don't have discussions about your ability to pay or not. Are you in arrears? Pay or go to jail. We don't do counseling. You figure it out. Yeah. In fact, another quick story. So, which is weird, true, but weird. So I'm collecting data at the Domestic Relations Office or Child Support Office in the Erie County. At the time, I was divorced paying child support. So the director of the program walks down the hall and says, Parris, let me talk to you. And you know how you can, like, do we have a problem? Did I do something wrong? The whole tone and the whole thing was all bad. He said, we were looking at the records, man, and like, you're in arrears. You got to catch up. Like, you owe $2,700. And I said, no, I don't. No, I don't. And we were arguing. Now, interesting enough, the person who was in charge of the record keeping, her last name was Baker, with Julie Baker. So it's kind of interesting. So I said, Julie, let's check the records. And she discovered there was an error in the computer. I actually overpaid. Instead of being behind $2,700, I overpaid. You owe me $2,700. Can I have my money? Because they were about to call the sheriffs and put me in jail. Literally, if you like, are you serious? And I just walked up and said, you might as well put the cuffs on now. I'm not behind. My wages were garnished. I don't touch the money at all. It's literally, my employer sends it right to you. How can I be behind? If you're going to arrest somebody, arrest them. But I thought about that and said, if I wasn't a student here, would you have listened to me? Because it was absolutely pay or go to jail. Fortunately, I could walk across the hall and say, Julie, like, pull this up. If I was on the outside looking in, I probably would have been in jail. Okay. It really just begged the question. And by the way, 30% of all the men who go to prison, it's because of a computer error. Something that was amiss in in the filing in the record keeping. Number 4 is the responsible fathering. That came out of responsible fathering came out of Blankenhorn, David Blankenhorn, who wrote a book about I can't remember the name of the book now. All of a sudden, I read it and I can't remember. But it basically said that we are in crisis, what fatherhood crisis, that America is struggling because there's this growing absence of fathering. And he defined responsible fathering as fathers who are financially responsible for their children. And that was the definition. Pretty simple, cut and dry. And it also had very clear religious undertones about what fathering means and supported by a whole bunch of literature and scripture. I put in the parentheses, responsible fathers are nurturing. It's way beyond your financial ability to pay and taking care of your kids by buying them, some knickknacks and Jordans or what have you. So you're paying child support and you're taking them out for ice cream. It's way more than that. And what I learned is kids, once they understand that their father is really trying, they don't care about the money either. Okay. They really want more physical, but more emotional connection with their father or their dad. I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. Variables that are predictive of father involvement. And there are a couple obvious ones here. The co-parenting relationship with the mother of your child or children. And there are all kinds of issues that show up here. But basically, the co-parenting mom is a gatekeeper. She decides how much access you're going to have to that child. If you have a terrible relationship with the mother or mothers, and it could be more than one mother, of the children, and that usually makes situations really complicated when there's more than one mom involved. She really can be a barrier in terms of phone calls or FaceTiming or physical connection coming to the house. If there is a new man in the house, that becomes an issue. So one of the things we focus on in that barrier is you really, 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 really got to work at maintaining a healthy communicative relationship with the mother or mothers of your children. Father satisfaction, which you will not find a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of information, in the literature. Because we're still not, even today, like this moment right now, we are not focused on when you're fathering, are you satisfied? But that makes a huge difference in the way men approach fathering. It is, in one sense, it's real easy to understand. The things that you do and you enjoy them, you tend to do them more often. The things that you don't do well, you tend to do them less. What does it mean when we talk about father satisfaction? How they see themselves as a parent, how their children behave, and the relationship with their children in terms of the intimate, how close are we as in terms of father and child relationship. The one that we can talk about after we do the exercise, because this is where I kind of want you to see what I'm talking about here, is how I see myself as a parent. Am I a good father? Am I a good parent? And men are generally critical of their role because there isn't a lot of communication back and forth there where someone is saying, you really are a good father. They're not getting that in the interaction. Their kids may or may not, depending on the nature of their relation, will tell them, you are the best father in the world, blah, 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 blah. And so when they're doing the self-evaluation, it tends to be kind of a negative perception. Yes, sir.
Did you look at this from age 18 and younger?
Yeah, minor children.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did not go beyond.
Yeah, no. And, it's kind of interesting. it's kind of hard to track adult children to get that information. You can find them, but getting them involved, that's a different story. Okay. And one of these days when I retire and I got time, yeah, it'll be really good. But you know, again, I jokingly say, if you are going to a religious institution, you're going to church, and you say, let's have a prayer meeting, who are you going to find in the prayer meeting? Women. We don't do that kind of stuff. We don't show up for whatever reason. But if it was, wow, we're going to have a dinner and then we're going to talk, we're going to show up, because that's kind of what we do. We eat, we're kind of instrumental in our relationship. We're going to fix things, we're going to do something. But this expression of feelings and stuff, we're still working on that. We had a group. We had 15 men, like 15 or 20 men. I don't know the exact number. Anybody see the movie? If I only could imagine. Anybody see that? If you want to cry, watch that. It's the story about the singer who actually wrote the song, If I Only Can Imagine, blah, blah, blah. It's a really touching story. He had an abusive father, how his career developed, and ultimately his father had cancer and died, and then he had this epiphany, and boom. We watched that movie, got to the end, there was 15 men, rough and ready, right? Crying all over the place, and all this cathartic stuff is happening. And then the next group, we had 3 men. The next group. And I said, what happened? He said, that was too intense. If that's what we're going to do in this room, I don't want to do that. That was just too much, overload. And so we had to learn, like, we need to back off and kind of ease men into that, because just didn't work. Self-efficacy, the degree to, I believe, to the degree I believe with my own effort, I can cause things to happen. And you can see when we get to barriers, there's so many things although I might have a high sense of efficacy, there are some things I can't control. I can't control, to a certain degree, child custody or child support or gatekeeping access to my child, or getting into a school or going to a hospital to check on their records. Depending on the nature of the custody, I may or may not be allowed to know anything about my child or children. And so that the lower that is, the more likely the father's not involved in the life and development of their children. What does father presence do? A lot of good things. I only put 7 here. I could have put 20. We tend to know father absence. We've done a lot of research on father absence. But what happens when fathers are present? Really, it's just the inverse. A lot of really good things happen, particularly, and this is kind of an area we are focusing on, is early during the gestation period and the first 5 or 6 years of your child's life. Be as involved as you can, because that really sets the tone for the next 12 years, 15 years of your child's life, your relationship. A lot of things foundationally are developed during the 9 months and then childbirth. If you can, because sometimes that's not possible, but if you can, be involved in as many different ways as possible. Okay. Oops, wrong direction. Here we go. All right. Barriers to father involvement, adversarial relationships with social institutions. I mentioned child support, child custody, not very helpful. Parent alienation, the mother or mothers or guardians have negative conversations about who I am. They actually are talking against the improvement of relationship with my child or children. Work schedules, I mentioned that. If I'm working 1 or 2 jobs, here's what typically happens. And the older the child gets, when I say older, like middle school and beyond to age 18, is if you live in an intact 2-parent home, how often do you see your developing child in middle school, high school? They get up, they go to school 8 o'clock, they come home at 3 o'clock, they're doing homework, maybe a snack, And then they're going to soccer, football, whatever they're doing something, travel ball. They come home, they're doing their homework. How much time are you, Dad, spending if you're living with your child?
Just a few hours.
Just a few hours. Actually, it's less than that. It's less than an hour of direct communication. Because you can be in a room watching a football game, but you're not talking to each other. So you're physically present, but there's nothing going on between you and the father. It's less than an hour of direct communication. And the older you get, that begins to decrease. Yeah, he's trying to figure it out.
So what's the difference? What's the difference then?
What do you mean?
If you're not in the household or you are? If it's less than an hour.
Hold that thought, because you're going to see some of why it's important for men to think about, because men kind of say that if it's the same for whether I'm there or not, does it really matter? Yes, it does. Okay, I'll give you an example, and this is one of my examples. If you're married, and this is kind of a marriage example, there are like 50%, 52% of the world's population are female. Now, you took one woman, you said, you're my baby, just you. That means you've excluded 4 billion other women, right? You're the one for me. That sounds really good if you can position that one woman with all the choices you have. Then she feels special. Like you could have had anyone, but it's you. It's our relationship, my relationship with you. When it's, you're the only one for me, and I can't think about those other 4 billion women. I just look at you, it's just you. It doesn't feel the same. You chose me because you didn't have very many choices. So yeah, you kind of settled for me. That's how children look. When you have time, especially limited time, and somehow not out of convenience because we're there, is you're working hard to get to me. They know qualitatively, it feels different. It may come out the same time, but your effort to get to me makes all the difference. It says you really care about me, even if we spend 15 minutes together. I just know what it took for you to spend this time with me. Particularly if in the household, I am hearing how ugly you are, but the picture doesn't jive with what I'm seeing. Kids will figure that out. And so it does make a difference in the effort. The reward, you got to trust the process. And I say that a lot. You got to trust the process, because many times you will not see, particularly if you're parenting from prison, you won't see any of this at all. You just got to believe the process, that it is working. And again, I'll share some examples. Geographic distance, an interesting thing in Pennsylvania, if you commit a crime in one county at the state system, they try to send you to a state correctional institution as far away from the county you committed the crime, which definitely interferes with visitation. So poor relationship with custodial mothers, particularly if there is another man in the house. I thought you were going to say something. Okay. Other access to competence and confidence in using technology. If you don't know how to do it, particularly if you have, a child or children who are using technology and you don't know how to do it, you are definitely a step away. And how does this work? And if, again, kids are texting and all that, you're not very good at it, that becomes a barrier too. All right. Bam. All right, here we go. It's time for the workshop. Okay. I need 2 volunteers. And since there are limited choices, how old are you, sir? 19. So you might be, just because you're 19, you're like the closest to the age of the child. Can I just get you to volunteer? Thank you. There you go. You stand over there. See, that was very nice. All right. Now, wonderful men, I need a volunteer, and I won't choose you. I'll look right out the window. All you have to do is say, choose me.
I want to do it. Come on, volunteer, please. Okay, I'm going to choose you. All right. Who was the most vocal person in this group? Who do you think?
The guy remember balling.
Notice I kind of walked right here too. I need you to stand right here. We're going to call this home. Okay? All right. Now, you are the air traffic controller. Stand right here. Look that way. You agree to stand right here. Don't move. You can't walk, can't anything. Okay? Till the exercise is over. Got it. Boom. Locked down. Locked down. What's your first name, sir? Kenny? All right. Brand new, straight from put that around, take your glasses off. Straight from, what's this? Dollar General. Okay? Put that on, and I'm going to talk to you in a minute. Let's see. Okay. Now, Kenny, this was important. Take 2 steps forward. 1, 2. This was really important, sir. From this point forward, if you touch anything other than the floor, you're toast. You know, planes crashing in the air, we've read that stuff, we've heard about it. You can't touch anything. So be careful, like with your hands moving around, because there's chairs all around you. And to some degree, there might be a man over here. And so you can't touch anything. Okay? Got that? And you're going to keep the blindfold on until you get home. Okay? Because you're going to make it successfully. Oh, we haven't got it yet. Okay. I'm going to make a flight plan, and that's my job. So, air traffic controller, I'm going to give you the flight plan. Okay? Okay. But what's really important? Objective. Really, really important for the rest of you. And I wish we had a few more people here because it works better when the room has more people in it. But it doesn't matter. What's the objective? What's the objective? Point A to point B. And I kind of safely. What's the objective?
To get there safely.
I'm just making sure everybody's got it. What's the objective? Safely. We all got it, right? And this is really important because when the exercise starts, I'm telling you, you're going to forget it. Now that I'm telling you, no, I'm not. And I'm telling you, you're going to forget it. Okay? So, locked down, blindfolded. Here comes the flight plan. Okay? And I'm gonna have you, let's see. So come through here. I'm bringing them right home to you. Okay? You got to come through. I'll give you come through here. I want you involved. Can you sit here? Yeah. There you go. See, that feels better now. Yes. All right. Yeah. There you go. Kind of a straight shot. Kinda, yeah. It's kind of difficult with my eyes open. Good God, I don't know how you're going to make it. So come through here. No, don't move yet. Don't you move. He's going to guide you. He's the air traffic controller. He's going to get you through this. You're going to be successful. Are you ready, sir?
I believe so.
Well, there you go. That's the efficacy piece. I believe I can do it. All right. Are you ready, Kenny? Be careful. You move your hands. Be careful. Touch anything. Toast. No, don't. No. You got to wait. You get some instructions how to get there. Yeah. Yes. And by the way, so that you understand, everything that happens when we have this is a group with men, fathers, we use everything. Because sometimes don't our kids take off with, I think I know what I'm doing, they kind of take off. We use everything to talk about fathering because in this relationship, father, son. Kind of looks like it. Okay? All right, take it away.
I need you to take one step to the left and a half step to the left and forward. Wait a minute. One step and then a little bit to the right. Too far. Okay, come forward one step. Another one, another step.
That was close.
Okay. Take 2 steps to the right. And 1 more to the right. And front 2 steps forward. Whoa.
Kenny, you may not make it to 20.
And 2 steps to the right.
Oh!
2 bigger steps.
You're toast, Kenny. Take it off. Okay. You got halfway there? You want to get through? Okay. All right. You guys sit right here. Sit. That's one way of looking at it.
Have any flight insurance?
Kenny, you sit right here just for a second. All right. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So what did you see? We're going to talk to you guys in a second. But what did you see?
I saw the flight controller using limited direction.
Limited direction.
I would have turned him and manual.
I'm glad you said it like that because we're going to do this one more time.
I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, I'm pretty consistent. Okay. What did you see, sir?
Maybe it's just a little more precision in the direction. Just, maybe instead of a half step, maybe 2 inches to the right.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll have these 2 guys do it. Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. So you'll get your chance. You'll get your chance. Yeah. It's different when you're doing it. Yeah. Now, let me just stop there, and I'm going to get you guys involved too. If we had a room, a few more people here. We had 2 critiques. And what were they? What you could have done better. They're similar, but the idea, that's the non-custodial father. Almost all their critiques is, yeah, you could have done it better. Why do you do it this way? And that's why their esteem, how they evaluate themselves, is so low, because everywhere they go, someone says, why do you do it this way? Or, well, you're not in my situation. You don't know. And it's easy to, my life is on blast. Okay. What did you see?
Every direction was correct, but just don't know how to fill in this.
But the fine details, they're just crushing you, man. Just crushing you. Not precision, the details not there. All right. Now watch this. This is how we try. This is one of the ways we open up. How do we teach fathers how to navigate? Is this. You were right there. Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you do anything? See, I'm helping you now. He's imprecise. I did tell you that you were going to forget the objective. And it just showed up right here. But it was showing up for everyone. For everyone in this room. The objective was lost as soon as we started. I'll explain that in a minute. But why didn't you help? Why didn't you help?
I was looking on heaven.
Yeah. And I was watching, you guys were working. All of you were involved. Like when you said, I'm feeling this exercise.
Yeah.
Why didn't you help?
You're afraid to step outside that box.
Absolutely.
Speak where you may not want to be heard.
Absolutely. What were the consequences for failure? Crash, toast. That's in my fear of saying something. You toast.
I think I'll take I'll take this one. It's a game, but in real life, that's how it plays out too. Like, am I allowed to say anything? Or if I say something, I might be in a hornet's nest. So I don't say anything. Just watch it happen. By the way, that is called the bystander effect in a microcosmic way. I could say something, but I don't. And the more people who are around, again, we have limited space. The more people are around, the more likely people are not going to help. They're not going to say anything. You would think, wow, I could really, he's not, again, these precise movements. Maybe I'll help him out. Okay. What's going to mess you up is when I get to the end of this life. Oh, we could have done that? Yeah. A revelation. What did you see?
During just the general.
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah. You've actually this in the store in our D&D group.
Okay.
Where we had the guards to be blind, and I have to say we didn't do much better than you did.
It is.
It's a tough job, and I think like in terms of like just communicating back and forth with the person and being like, what words can I use to help you understand like, where you're going?
Yeah.
And maybe communicate more with the person who's actually trying to navigate that through.
Yeah. Have you ever done this before? Yeah. So sometimes, again, when we're talking to fathers, before you launch out and do it, maybe you want to practice. Kind of figure out how it works. Before you take the risk of toast. Yeah.
It's interesting to me. It's just that you're thinking that there's an air traffic controller and a pilot. And the pilot never responded to the air traffic control.
Limited communication. Yeah. If you allow me, I'll pick up on a lot of that stuff. What did you hear from the air traffic controller or dad? Instructions. One after another, after another. Was there any affirmation?
Hey, how you doing? Good job.
Or you look, or how are you feeling, or any of that stuff, and how important that is in navigating your son or daughter through life, because that's what this represents now. Things that you can bump into. How do you process that? Does what you're doing here sound like how you're talking to your children? We just process that. I don't know until you tell us. But a lot of it's very similar. What are you doing when you're giving instruction? You're so focused on doing it, you're missing the emotional content. Again, this emotional intelligence. You're missing all the nonverbal. And if you know communication is 90% nonverbal, then you're having very little interaction nonverbally. Okay. You look like you want to say one more thing or something. No, okay. I was like, he's sitting on the edge. Okay. And so there was follow my instructions. And that may be, depending on the communicative style between the father and or his children, that may be the way they want to communicate. I don't know. But that's when we process and we ask, how did that feel to you? And now I'm going to ask you, how did that feel to you?
Be blind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that you said that, because that's what kids say. Like, I'm blind. Like, I'm dependent completely on you. I really need you to like do more, because everything I do is because you're telling me to do it. So pay attention to me. And the more dads you pay attention to your kids, the more they're going to say like, oh, really cares about me. Not only the person, but like the inner me, the spiritual me. And here's a revelation for most fathers. Again, I'm going back to my dad, is there's the tangible stuff that I need to do. Like, I'm the breadwinner. But I recognize in this how important it is to talk to you internally. Not just get you through stuff, but care about you. There's trust, and I always talk about this almost every presentation, and there's epistemic trust. You're supposed to take care of me of your father because you're my father, so you get me through this, which is different than you care about me and you're not going to allow any harm to happen to me. It's very different kind of trust. And that's the one that children respond to.
You're not going to let anything happen to me. You've seen this picture a gazillion times. Child is running and leaps, and Dad, you will catch me because I trust you. You're not going to let me fall. Oh, wow, that's very different. The first time that child experiences you weren't there, they might not do that again. Again, for men who are not present, that's one of the barriers. Like, where did I blow it? If I blew it. And all the guilt and stuff that comes with that might be the reason you don't trust me in this moment, because there was a time that I wasn't there. And one of the things we talk about men is you have to earn the right to participate in your child's life, which is counterintuitive. I'm their parent. Don't I have like access to I'm their father? And I said, no, you don't. When there was a separation, whatever happened in life, you have to earn the right to participate in their life. Again, that's really hard for men to do. You have to earn their trust. There's a lot of things you have to do. It may not feel good, may not look good, depending on where you're at, but you have to earn the right to participate in their life. And so, again, exercises like this really help. How were you feeling, sir? Let me get you in here.
I felt as though I was getting proper.
Not what they were saying. You were doing it. I was with you too. So you felt competent. I was doing, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, they're your peer group. Let me ask you a question now. A couple questions. What did you say when he crashed? Like do you remember your response?
Yeah, that's what the other one played.
Too late. Yeah, insurance after the fact, you don't get it. Like, oh, was it your fault?
In retrospect, a step and a half step, I think that's the second step he took was larger than the other.
So it's his fault. You're not gonna put the blame on him. But you see where I'm going. If it failed, whose fault was it? Did I get bad instruction, or did you not hear me well? And in reality, it's neither. Unless this person says, like when you started talking, like, don't walk, well, I'm just going to keep going. Boom, it's probably you. But if I'm listening to you, what's a big step? These are all constructions. Is this a big step? Is this a big step? Is this a big step? I don't know until we figure that stuff out. Go straight. I'm blind. What do you mean go straight?
Well, he could peek underneath the car. He knew he was going.
I hope he wasn't. All these things because we can see, we're depending on my understanding. You see this problem the way I see it. That's not true. That's why communication, again, this exercise brings that to bear. Your children don't know what you mean, particularly if they're not hanging out with you every day. Because there's some things, there are nuances they can pick up just seeing you every day. This is kind of what that means, because this is what you do consistently. But if I don't know you, I see you on the weekend, I don't really know who you are. I don't know what this stuff means. When you get a little wrinkle there, are you angry or are you thinking? I'm interpreting. I don't know what that means. When you decide you don't want to talk to me, did you reject me or you just need to time out? I don't know what that means. There are all kinds of things that are missed that we try to help men understand. When you're doing A, B, and C with your child or children, take your time. Learn how to communicate with your child or children, okay? So I think one of the things that you said, I don't remember exactly, like, I don't know if you said something like he didn't listen or he didn't hear me or something. Yeah, something like that was immediate, your fault. Yeah, but he can't see. But he like, how's it my fault? You can see, I can't. And again, it's who got a manual on parenting? None of us. A lot of it, we're trial and error. Hopefully, the mistakes are not costly, right? We bump into stuff, they're not toast, okay? But sometimes that stuff can happen. Let me tell you a quick story. Real life story, and it was how we had to help this gentleman get through the following. So we're doing the fatherhood group, and he's really trusting the process of what we're teaching him. So he shares, he said, Parris, I need your help. What should I have done? Because it had already happened. I said, well, tell us what happened. He went home. He spent 15 years in the joint. His daughter was like 6 months old or somewhere when he went into jail. Comes out 15 years later, she's a teenager. Somewhere in that time, mom gets a boyfriend who molests her. She doesn't tell anyone. Over time, he's coming, he's nurturing, he's doing all this stuff. She says, I want to tell my father about what happened. I'm not real sure. And she waits. On one particular day, she did, Dad, I need to talk to you. At 9:30, he has to leave. He has to be back at the Erie County Correction Center at 10, or he's considered AWOL, or he's absconded or something like that. So he's got to be back. There's no negotiating that at all. And so he's getting ready to walk out. She said, Dad, I really need to talk to you. He turns around and says, yeah, what's up? And she just blurts it out. I was molested. Now imagine the conflict in that moment. I'm pissed, I'm angry at whatever happened. At the same time, I am under the supervision of the state correctional institution. Do I stay or do I go? She needs me, I gotta be back. You see the tension? I didn't know what to do. Ultimately, he came back because he said, I would rather come back because if I don't go back, they're gonna send me back to Albion. And so the choice was for the long term. She did not receive it that way. Once again, you have abandoned me. Whew. Now, what do I do? The quick story is we talked about how to repair that relationship. And what he said is you got to communicate that in a way that is loving. That by going back, it was a demonstration of how I love you. I didn't abandon you. That's how I stayed in your life. You got to be clear in how you talk about it. There were some other things that we did. And ultimately, it worked out in terms of their relationship. I don't know what happened to the gentleman, if that was processed or any of those things. I can't remember. But that's some of the stuff that popped up in the groups. That was not uncommon to have stories like that. For time's sake, I want to throw this out to everyone because we are all participating in this. And there's so many things, whether it's relationship building or communication. Some of the things I want to point to how do we teach men how to parent long distance? And the first thing is, what were the rules? What were the rules? Okay. Anybody remember? I'm going to put them back up. The 2 rules.
Communication.
Nope. Wait a minute. Oops. Rules. One for the pilot. There are rules. Stay blindfolded, which means there's only one rule for the pilot. There's only one rule for the air traffic controller. And I made sure. You got it? You got it? Yeah, you had home. You're going to stay there? Which means you could have done anything else. You could have done anything else. Frees you. What else could I have done? Follow the rules. Anything else goes. So you know what you could have did? What's the objective? So what's the best way to do that?
Take off the blanket.
Well, you can't because you can't move.
Ask for help.
Ask for help. That's an important one. You could have asked for help with anyone in this room. And part of how you parent long distance is you have to have a relationship with a teacher that sees your child more than you in a day. You have to have a relationship with a coach, or wherever your child is at, you have to have another set of eyes that can see the potential dangerous spots. For all those critiquing you, you can help me, right? If I'm not so precise, can you help with that? Can you help with that? That in and of itself is huge revelation. You mean I can't? Absolutely. There's only a few rules. The rest is your creativity. How can you be involved in your child's life, particularly navigating all the stuff? If you live in a poor community, for example, and your child is living next to dope dealers, how do you negotiate that? You may have to have a relationship with the dope man and say, my child is off limits. We've done that. We've gone to, you do your thing. We're not messing with your economy. But this child, off limits. Off limits. We can't even enforce that. It's the idea that we do it. Okay? Off limits. Whew, that seems dangerous. Yeah, but guess what? If we don't do it, danger's still there. So how do we negotiate that? Let's just free ourselves. What else do we need to do? What else do we need to do? Can we talk to the police? Absolutely. They're driving through all the time. Make this one of your spots. Check in here. Yes. I'm going to tell you why. There's so many things that you can do. So that's one thing. Have a relationship with everybody who's going to see your child. But there's another thing you missed. What's the objective? Safety. To get from point A to point B safely. What's the safest way to do that? I was doing it. I just stopped. I gave a flight plan. But the safest thing to do, I'm not changing the direction. I'm just moving the obstacles out of the way. And if I, I don't want to do it. I would move all those chairs over there. Just follow the flight plan without all these chairs being here. Wow, could I have done that? Absolutely. That's not fair. Where's the competition? Where's the challenge in that? What's the objective? Not to meet these artificial challenges, to get from point A to point B safely. Now you just instituted another rule that's not there. And part of what we talk to the men, particularly those who are in incarcerated situations, you know the life that you lived in prison is not the same out here. In prison, everybody's telling you what to do. Out here, you can make decisions. You've got to change your thinking about who you are as a parent out here. It is a challenge, but you got to free your mind. And so I want you to think about this. For every person who critiqued you, you could have helped me. Why didn't you do it? Because we all have these rules in our head. And by the way, depending on your background, if you are a non-custodial father with a felony, people may not want to help you. You're going to have to work real hard at that relationship. I've already paid my debt society. Why are you punishing me again? I love my children. Please help me. Because part of that, I'm wary of social institutions. Might have some validity to, child caseworker. Why don't you tell me about informed consent so that I can participate in my child? I didn't want you to. That's my bias. I didn't mention it to you. Again, the works don't say that. But the reason I didn't bring it up is that I don't want you to have contact. You complicate my life. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on. So let me ask you a question. And I'm going to ask, can you talk while you're doing that? Okay, good. So I'm going to put you in prison, or I'm going to put you in California. Actually, I'll put you in Dallas. Okay? Put you in Dallas. So you have a child in Erie, Pennsylvania. You are physically in Dallas. How can you, not using technology, because that's the easy thing, is like, we'll just do FaceTime or Skype or something like that. And we'll get to that because that's important, but how you do it beyond the convenience. I'm taking that away now. So you don't have any of that technology. How can you be involved in your child's life living in Dallas?
Communicating.
So you can call. Mail.
Anything like that.
How often you go mail? How often would you send mail? Huh?
Maybe as often as I get it back, maybe.
Okay, put a number to it. And it doesn't matter if you get it back. That's one of the things. It doesn't matter if you get it once a week. Why once a week?
So like it's easy to do, consistent, showing that you're constantly trying to get in communication without feeling overbearing.
Yeah, and please, I'm not making anyone feel bad,
But you see what he just did? I'm going to limit. But if the convenience was, if I was living in the home, I would see you every day. We talk every day. Why would we not do that in this relationship? Because, and you can come with a lot of reasons, or you could say, this is one way I can do it. I'm writing every day. It could be a short paragraph. It doesn't matter. Hallmark can do it for you. Just sign your name. Love, Dad. It's too easy to do it. And by the way, they got cards that are free, like email cards. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to use snail mail. You could just email every day. Whew, wow, yeah. How else could you do it? Putting you on the spot because I like you. You say you like to talk to me.
I mean, you can take the time to travel if you're able to.
I'm for that. You can't travel. You're stuck in Erie. In Dallas. Dallas is in Erie. You're stuck.
I mean, without mail or the email, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Remember the lesson I said, everybody who has a relationship with your child, you have a relationship with them? Yeah. Not only am I talking to you, I'm talking. You see my daughter? You see my son? Yeah. I want you to communicate how I feel every time that you're with them. I'm going to develop a relationship with you so that when you're in contact, it's not hit and miss. You need to represent me. Have a relationship with everyone who has a relationship with your child. Wow, you're busy, aren't you? That's a lot of work, isn't it? Yes, and that's the point I try to make. It is work. Is it worth it? Yes. Well, then get to work. It is that simple. It is work. And don't put that responsibility on your child. If they don't ever respond to you, do you love them? Yeah. You want to communicate to them? Then just do it. Just do it. It feels better when there's feedback. It does feel better. But you can't control it. Quick story, another story. And I use this in the group. When I got divorced, for discussion, my daughter, but at the time, it was we use the term stepdaughter. We didn't like it. But when we got divorced, she said, you made my mom mad and I'm pissed. And she had every right to be pissed. And so she was MFing me forever. In the house that I was buying, she slammed the door repeatedly in my face. I said, wait a minute. I'm paying for the door that you're slamming in my face. Doesn't feel good, right? Here is long, because this is like daily, weekly. This stuff is happening all the time. And so on her 16th birthday at Academy, I sent roses to the school. That was kind of an icebreaker. What do you think happened on the day these roses showed up? 24 of them. That's a lot of roses. Went to the front desk and they called her, Marquita. What do you think happened when she got the roses? What do you think happened? She went to pick them up, and then what happened? What were all her peers saying?
Everybody wanted to know where those came from.
He must really love you. Why are you, like, who does that? In this calendar year, who else got roses? You're the only one in the entire school who's gotten roses delivered. Again, just thinking out of the box. Later on, fast forwarding now, when she's 20, I get a call. She said, Dad, I need to talk to you. And that was the key for me. Dad, because I was the MF for a long time. Dad. So I knew something up. I knew something was up. And just a tonal thing. And so, can I talk to you? Okay, we met at the McDonald's on 12th Street. And she said, oh, by the way, the MFer, this is her second child. She was pregnant, and that's what she told me. She had a child. And what was the name of her firstborn child? Parris. She was a girl, though. Everyone I thought you hated him. And she's a girl. Why would you? There's something in there. Boom, boom, just boom. And trust me when I say, I didn't get much feedback positive. I just believe, like I said to her, you don't have to receive my love, but you cannot stop me from giving it. You just can't. And so it's relentless. I'm not giving up. I'm never going to stop. That served me well because now I'm pregnant the second time and I'm thinking about an abortion. So my first question was, okay, pretty serious. Have you spoken to your mother? Nope. Okay. Have you spoken to your biological father? Nope. Then why are you talking to me? And this is when it gets real teary for me, is you have proven, that's why I say you earn it. I have put you through hell and you have stayed there. I know when I talk about this with you, I'm not going to lose you. Whew, amazing. And she did not have the abortion. We talked through it. That's kind of an adult situation. You're an adult. Let's figure it out. I don't believe in abortion, but I'm going to walk you through this. And ultimately, we always joke like, look at your decision. You know, like we point to the child, like Mari. Like, oh, that's a good decision. That's a good decision. But to the men, I'm talking 4 years of crap, 4 years of being MF's door slammed, seeing me in public, turning their back, to all that stuff. Yeah, it is worth it. It was, to me, even if it didn't work out positively, I still do it. And it doesn't feel good. Trust me, I have friends, men, crying, like, it doesn't feel good, but I'm not going to change. And that's an important story for men to hear because I'm just not in that place. So we got 10 minutes. I have a whole bunch of other stuff I want to talk about, but questions or anything before we. Yes, sir.
I'm curious whether you've ever done that exercise, which is a great exercise.
Yeah.
You ever done it with two air traffic control?
With two?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the reason I'm asking the question. I mean, I got divorced. I had a 16-year-old who was by then mid-20s. Then I get a 9-year-old stepson who dad's giving direction to, and
Yes.
I'm you now.
Yeah.
I have to love you no matter. He's got another air traffic control.
Yeah. If we had more people here, we demonstrate that.
Okay.
Not only with two dads or two moms, sometimes in an intact family, dad is saying go left, mom says go right. Which direction is the child going to listen to? Yeah. In again, a different place, different world. Intact marital family. They were having some difficulty with their son. And so let's demonstrate what's going on in the home. And the son was so emotionally overwhelmed that he sat down, right? Now that sitting down symbolically represented what he did a year later. I can't deal with this. He tried to commit suicide. That was a precursor. I'm sitting down. There's too much. I'm not going to listen to either one of them. I'm just not going to move. And they kept doing that. And then he's like, I know how to settle this. I'm going to listen to either one of you. I'm going to make a decision about me. Fortunately, he didn't die. He's doing very well. Lives in Seattle, doing well, has children. So we try to play out all those different scenarios. Okay. And again, it's good for men to see it and experience. Because it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to feel it while you're doing it. What does that feel like? Now, one of the things, again, we didn't do, we got 6 minutes here, is you were the pilot, right? You saw the course I made. Now, you have the knowledge about what I said about rules and stuff like that. So pretend like you didn't know any of that. What kind of course would you have made? Because I would have asked you, since you've gone through it, you make the next course. You would? Why? I like you. Because most people say, I'm going to make it harder. They absolutely make it more difficult. If it was a challenge for me, I'm really going to, and that's not uncommon. So I applaud you because most people don't not only say it, that's what they don't do, is our job is to make the next generation. There's challenges, enough challenges. I don't have to create them. How can I make life a little easier for the next generation? And so that's a point that we make. What are you doing intergenerationally? Like, for example, how are you spending your money? We talk about financial literacy. And is it a good deal when you only have like $20? Is it a really good deal every time that you go to McDonald's, or you do something else with that money? Can you have fun without spending money and invest that money? There's a lot of ways to have fun. So we talk about it that way too. Okay. Any other question? Yes, sir.
So I'm 74. I have
Made it.
hoping for many more.
Yes.
But I just wanted to share something
what you said.
Mhm.
My children are both in their 40s.
Mhm.
They're grown. They're both out of town.
Mhm.
My daughter just said she doesn't want to have anything to do with me ever again. And I think what you said about the emotional attachment
Mhm.
is really, really important because when they were young, I coached baseball, I coached soccer,
Mhm.
went to the school stuff, but that one-on-one time, the emotional connection is what I think I missed.
Yeah.
So one's in Denver, he's married, they have a 6-year-old, one's in St. Louis, the daughter, they have a 9-year-old.
Mhm.
So, given a past like that, with some dysfunction and a lack of connection, is there any way that you can reestablish that emotional connection with an adult child?
Absolutely.
Especially when it just said, I don't want it.
Yeah. Do you believe that? And what I'm saying, so to be clear, is that I don't want to in response to I'm angry because of something, or truly I don't want anything to do because I just don't feel it anymore.
I think it comes from anger
Mhm.
from the past.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is kind of a nice segue. How do we bring spirituality into this? So some of the conversation is how many of you Christian? Hands go up. Doesn't this scenario sound like the one with the Father? Yeah. Like and look at how he created the world and orchestrated things so that we would know, I'll do anything to get you back. Yeah. Follow that model. That's one of the ways we address that is, yeah, there's something spiritual about fathering that you need to tap into that can help you. Now, I'm asking a more intimate question. And again, this is, if we're doing group, is sometimes we ask the question, kind of a generalized question. What would you do for your children? What would you do for them?
Well, if we had Star Trek and I could just teleport myself to St. Louis and Denver, I would do it.
Yeah. You make sacrifices?
Sure.
Yeah. Tremendous sacrifices. Yeah. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to try to do that. And so for you, those words become, what would I do? Some people say, I'll do anything. Well, prove it. Now you have to prove it. If I'm a basketball nut, so San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich, Pops, I say the name wrong. If you don't know basketball anyway. So when they won 2 championships, they got a big, like as big as that wall in their practice room. It's a big granite stone with one little fracture. And the coach said, how do you think that fracture got there? And what do you think is going to happen with that fracture? He said that fracture got there because people kept hitting it. And over time, if you keep hitting it, it will change. It will split. That's what we do in practice. We keep hitting it. We keep working at it until we reach the goal. That's one of the things I'm saying to you is how many times do you need to say, I love you until it works? Yeah, that's a simple answer. You keep saying it. Again, love this notion, the concept. Again, it's spiritual. It's eternal. Love is eternal. So where do you start? I don't know. Where did it start and where does it stop? I don't know that either. So since you're kind of in there, just keep doing it. And she may not like. Again, your story. I mean, my story. They sound kind of similar. And I don't want to say do what I did because you're not me and I'm not you. What I like to tell men is think about, meditate on, like close your eyes and think, what does the relationship mean to me? And be honest with that. It'll come to you. That's what you communicate. Close your eyes And whatever you see, feel, communicate that to your daughter. And find at least 7 different ways to do that. Okay, and just because we're going to run out of time here. How many different ways can you say I love you? So number 1 is you can say it, I love you. So that's 1. Is there any other way? Let's get 6 more in there. 6 different ways. Yes.
Do something
That's number 2. Okay. A gift. Yeah. A loving gift, some kind of gift. It's in the card. And I'm going to put all that in there. So we got to sending gifts. Communication, I kind of tease out because it's kind of different. I can write it, letters. By the way, letters are really important. What do people do with letters? Either they throw them away or they keep them, right? If you make that letter attractive, people fold it away. And you know what they do? They go back and reread them. So not just don't write anything. Like think about it, make it attractive, make their package attractive so that they want to keep it and they'll park it someplace. She may throw the first one away, the second one away, just keep. Yep. So we got 3, is that 3 or 4? 3? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got 4 more. Yes, sir. How? She doesn't want him. She doesn't want to be with him. But you still can. You're on the right track. How do you spend time? Now, I know you a loving man. You got that love. Well, before we get to the availability, can you be with somebody and not be with them physically? Absolutely. Sometimes we think, we meditate, we dream or whatever. You can be with somebody, just fill yourself up with all of that. I call it prayer. Yeah, I can pray for you because I believe that. So I'm with you, even though I'm not physically with you. And that's kind of where I was kind of taking that. And then being available to make sure that anytime you call, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm right here. Whenever you change your mind, I'm here. Why? Because I love you. Okay, that's 6, 5, 5. I like that. Keep them low. Okay, we got 2 more to go.
You can respect them, especially if they make their own choices like in here. And part of the reason that she came to you is because she knew whatever choice that she made.
Yeah.
You would still continue to keep it.
Yeah. And part of that, if we go to this, is I just said to you, I don't want to see you. So now you're not listening to me. You're trying to force your way back. So part of the respect is I can be a father here, and there are other ways I can do that. I'm going to respect your boundaries. Okay. There's still a lot of ways you can be present and say I love you, but that respect, just be very clear when you say that. It's not my absence. It's my respect for you. I'm not an absent dad. I want to be there. You just said there's a boundary. So I'm going to respect that. 1 more. I said 7. There's like a gazillion ways you can do it. I want to share this. I'll end with this. I have a friend. I call him he taught me more. He has taught me more about fathering. And I got a gazillion things in my head because half of what I'm about to tell you came from him. He's serving 2 life terms. He has 4 daughters. He's the best father I have met because he has to think, how can I be present in your life from prison? So everything he does, recreate. I said, write a book, man. We need all this stuff. So here's one of the things he did. And again, for time's sake, he's got 4 daughters. Some of them love him and they accept him. One of his daughters says, I never want to love you. The reason I'm lonely is because you're in prison because you were selfish. Yeah, I'm not going to support that. So what he did was he took a marker. He put his hand and he made a picture. And inside his hand, he wrote what he felt. He said, anytime you're ready, I choke up on this. Anytime you're ready, we can hold hands. Put your hand in here and I'll be with you. And see these words? That's what I'm saying to you. It took a couple of years, but she finally put her hand in there. I know it's but it worked. Yeah. Put it on the refrigerator, wherever. And he would refer back to that. Very creative. How can I be there when I'm not there? He came up with a whole laundry list of ways. Another way is tell people.
so that the people around her, she's going to talk to other family members or whatever, right? Make sure that they communicate that. Why are you telling me that? Because she's talking to you. She's not talking to me. I just want her to get the message to her, all right? And doing crazy stuff. And by the way, crazy stuff sometimes work, right? You got $200 discretionary. Just say yes for the conversation. $200, right? I tell men all the time, you know where your child lives? $200. You know what's a good investment? Put it on the billboard. Put it right on the billboard. You come out the house. You see, you go, but it's thinking outside of the box. However I can think about making my mark, it's available. There's no rules to this. Think outside the box. Yes. Put it on the radio. Put it on a reel. There's so many ways if you can think outside the box, how you can communicate. That really care about you, really love you, or however you want to say it. So that's long distance dads. What I didn't, again for time, what I didn't talk about, but I want to be clear, we don't have time to talk about it, is what if when you do all that stuff and it doesn't work? Because sometimes you can do everything and it doesn't work. All right. So what's the short answer to that? We'll end with is kind of like a positive, negative, negative, positive. Because it's still positive. What do you do when it doesn't work? Accept it, and because here's the positive piece. Again, it speaks to my faith tradition. Huh? That is grace. That's grace. I'm never giving up. I will give you grace, but I'm not going anywhere. I will accept your decision. That's all I can do. But it's not my decision. I'll give you grace. Whew, that's a powerful thing when the person knows that. Yeah, it's your decision. I got to accept it. But I'm not giving up on you. Wow. So it's kind of negative, positive, positive, negative. Okay, because sometimes it doesn't work. So anyway, that's because we're out of time. Thank you again for, yes. Again, this is kind of new for me. I said workshop, we could have I could have a lot of statistics. And by the way, in a different slide, I got a ton of them. All right. But I thought this might be really helpful to let's experience what men experience. And by the way, usually men come here because they're interested in like, how does it work? And again, thank you. By the way, for you two guys, I have
Take it to a basketball game.
close.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm a Mercerist grad.
That's too bad. Yeah. Yes. You can wear it, you can clean in it. Whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you. But thank you for participating. There you go. All right.